we're good to go. See you all again. This is the second in our monthly series on culture. We're trying to have live webcasts on culture so we can reach more people. Our community groups that we work with in community and cultural outreach, but as well as anyone looking for information on Cherokee people, Cherokee culture. We want to get the best information out there that we possibly can on our Lifeways. So again, my name is Donnie Mackey. I'm the Cultural Outreach Officer at the Cherokee Nation in Community and Cultural Outreach. And we are covering tonight genealogy. This is probably the #1 topic that people ask for when I travel and locally. People want to be able to find their connections to their past. They want to be able to connect to their roots, connect to each other, and I think that's why this is important in terms of community work. I think we need to know where we came from, to know where we're going, and connect those dots in our communities and be able to tell our stories. I think that's a very important part of our community work. So we wanted to cover genealogy tonight. So it's my honor and privilege at this time to introduce to you Gene Norris from the Cherokee Heritage Center. He's a genealogist. He just celebrated his 10th anniversary there, although he's been doing genealogy work for a long time. And so with that, I want to introduce Gene Norris. Wado for being here, Gene.
Oh, wado, Donnie. Well, I'm glad everybody's here. I don't know if anybody's ever heard me talk before, so I'm trying tonight not to talk too fast. So if I do start talking too fast, please raise your hand, and that means I need to slow down for the audience that's here with us, and or throw something at me. No, I'm kidding. Don't throw anything at me. As long as it's something soft and pliable that doesn't hurt. It won't hurt the mic. I'm kidding. As Donnie said, I'm with the Cherokee Heritage Center, or the Cherokee National Historical Society. That's our parent group. If folks that are here, have you been to the Heritage Center, I'm sure? Well, as you know, it's the site of the the Cherokee Female National Seminary that burnt in 1887 and was rebuilt where Northeastern State campus is today. And I've been there, like Donnie said, actually going on 11 years now. And I've been doing genealogy for about 20 of it here in the Cherokee Nation. And so I've been very familiar with Cherokee records. And there's more and more that is coming up online. And so tonight's presentation is something I wanted to do that I've done in a past conference at the Heritage Center. I always like to give a plug for the Heritage Center. Up on the table, those of you that are here, there are some brochures about the Heritage Center, our events, and the Cherokee Family Research Center, and part of the museum where I work. And there's also a membership for our Historical Society brochure up on the table over there, as well as a flyer for our upcoming conference. This is our 14th annual conference for Cherokee, techniques on how to do Cherokee research. We have different speakers that come to give presentations, like I'm giving you this evening. And we're supposed to have a little bit of a round table, I hope, on Friday evening at the conference, June 13th. And we have several different good things going on out at the Heritage Center, and that's in our events calendar. We also have an organization at the Heritage Center called First Families of the Cherokee Nation, which we're currently working with right now. And it's been around since 1997. I came into it when I started in 2003, and it's grown quite a bit under my tenure. And we have a reunion every year at the national holiday on Labor Day weekend on the Sunday of the holiday. Like a family reunion. It's for the members, the First Families and their families. They come and get together. We have presentations there. We try to keep on the grounds at the Cherokee Heritage Center. And I'm really proud of where I work. It's 44 acres. We have a new village, Deligua, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Deligua 1710 Village. And we just got in new sidewalks there throughout the village, the new village. And we're hoping that we're going to be able to turn the old village that's been there since 1967 into a sports arena where you can play stickball, marbles, blowgun, do all kinds of different types of Cherokee-related sports. And stickball the main thing, Before I get more into the presentation, I want to remind everybody and those that are online, that have logged on online, to go to the websites that you see on the front screen of my presentation, and it'll be again on the last slide of my presentation, to remember to do the assessment for your group. And also, that's where the handouts are for tonight, plus a few extra handouts for those of you that would like to have them in regards to doing Cherokee research or research on Cherokee records. But like I said, predominantly we use the internet a lot at the Heritage Center and the Research Center, and these are most of the websites that we utilize. And there's more and more that's coming up online, which is I'm really excited about. And there's some sites that are digitizing some of the Cherokee records. And hopefully there'll be more of those that will be coming up online for people to look for family information. I'm going to go ahead and start with the first slide and talk about the first site. The main site that I use as mostly an index site is accessgenealogy.com. Has anybody here that's in the room, anyone used Access Genealogy? It's a free public access site. This is the old pull-up screen from the past. They've recently upgraded accessgenealogy.com, and they've made it a little bit more prettier than it used to be, the screen. But there's indexes to many, not just Cherokee records, but other tribal records too, for other tribes, indexes to a lot of their records. And of course, the access to the main Cherokee records, at least indexes to them. There's also a part of the site here where you can look at biographies that are in a book called The History of the Cherokee Indians by Dr. Emmett Starr. He has a biography section in the back, and they transcribe those into typewritten form on this website, accessgenealogy.com, under Native American records. This shows you if you go to it today, like tonight, if you get home and go to accessgenealogy.com, this is the screen that will pop up. There's some other sites that have indexes to the Dawes Roll, the Dawes Final Roll, as well as other Cherokee records. Oklahoma History Center, which I want to show you here in a little bit. That's some of the slides that I have up on the screen. This is, like I said, it's a free site. The thing of it is that when you're looking at the site, if you can see there at that top of the screen, there's a search engine. There's a lot of pop-ups on this site. We're not associated with this site. The Heritage Center isn't, in the sense that it's not our website. We have our own website, which is not searchable, but it's about our heritage, about the Cherokee Heritage Center and the grounds and our exhibits and our events and things. We're currently having the Trail of Tears art show. Has anybody gone to that? In fact, the opening is this Friday, where they'll have the awards ceremony, and then it'll be available for sale starting Saturday. Any of the artwork that's there on display. But this kind of shows you the screen that will pop up. But we get a lot of people that when they use accessgenealogy.com, they tend to like to go for the sites where it says to type in your ancestor's name and hit search. But that top site that you see there on this screen that's up on the screen, this picture up on the screen of the homepage takes you to Ancestry.com, which makes you have to pay money for Ancestry.com. And if you don't want to afford Ancestry.com, then you don't want to go there. The main things to search for are scrolled down further on this page, and if I have time, I'd like to go to the site and show you, actually go to the site and show it to you if you haven't been there, especially to our online audience too. There are, the Cherokee Nation's website, Cherokee.org, has links to accessgenealogy.com, as did we on our website, which is CherokeeHeritage.org, CherokeeHeritage.org. And then, of course, like I said, Cherokee Nation, under Tribal Services, under Registration, they have links to accessgenealogy.com. It's here that you can search the Dawes Roll to see who your ancestor on the Dawes Roll, and it will give you what's called their census or their card number. And that's actually the family's application number, because they applied as families. Those of you that are familiar with your ancestors would know this, is that they applied together as family. If the husband and wife and the children were all Cherokee, they would all be on the same application. Or if it was just one spouse and the children that were Cherokee, they would all be on the same application. And normally it was usually the man who was the one that gave the information, whether he was Cherokee or not, as long as he was married to the female or the wife and they had the children. You can just type in last name, or you can type in last name, first name. Most of them are listed mainly by their first and last names and some initials. But for the most part, just first name, last name will take you to everybody with that first and last name, no matter what their initial is. And again, this is like a replay. This shows you what it looks like when you do it now. That was the old version. This is the new version, which is a lot prettier. There's a lot more pictures, but it's the same information, just a different type of search engine to look for. And there, that site there is, again, you want to scroll further down on this page. If I go to the site and show you, that's where the search engine is. That's those little white boxes you see in the middle there. Don't type into that because that's going to take you to another pay site. Which is a good site. I'm not saying it's not. It's just in case you don't want to pay for something. If you want to get the information for free, scroll down further on this page and you'll see where the main search engine is. There is, I'm going to flip back to this one page. Kind of down in the lower left-hand corner, there's two bullet points. And one says the guide to using the final roles. And if you click on that, that will take you to, go backwards. That will take you to a screen similar to this, and I'll show you the new screen here in a second. But it tells you what the abbreviations they use on this website for, like BB means by blood, IW means intermarried white. If you find someone with a number with an F next to it, it indicates that they're a freedman. If there's a R or a D associated with the census or card number or the roll number, that means it was rejected or there's no roll number. If they were, someone's family is working on it and there's a former slave, it'll have the owner's name listed on the Dawes card and on the application. That question will be asked by the Dawes Commission. This is what it looks like today, and as you can see, there's the explanations down there in the lower left-hand corner of that screen. For those that can see the screen, I know it's far off, so it's a little blurry, so I apologize for that. It's just a screen, I forget what it's called, screenshot, so you can see what it looks like. But again, don't go for any of these little search engines that you can see on this main screen right here. Those take you to Ancestry.com, or they take you to what's called Fold3.com, which is that digitization site I talked about. Here I might note that, and I'm going to talk about Fold3. If you have a Muskogee library card, Muskogee Public Library, with your Muskogee library card, you can get free access to Fold3 and not have to pay the subscription if you have a Muskogee Public Library card. I can't speak for the other libraries in the eastern Oklahoma district, but I know Muskogee, and that's something new that they've just come up. They've just started doing at Muskogee. Muskogee has a great, called the Grant Foreman Room. We have a small research center in our library, in our museum, which I highly recommend you come out to do researching, which we have, copies of records, and we have access to these websites that I'm pulling up tonight that you can access from the Heritage Center. Of course, we are a nonprofit organization, a nonprofit museum. At first Saturday of every month is what we call Cherokee Saturday. So Cherokee citizens get in free, or any federally recognized Cherokee, the 3 federally recognized Cherokee groups get in free with their, have their card and with their family. And you can come back and look through the books and get on the computer, if you're comfortable with getting on the computer. Not everybody is comfortable with computers. But blocks can be put on computers in case there's something you don't want to see, but there's a lot of information coming up online. And hence we're doing this online presentation also at the same time while you're here in the audience. Now, when you click on a card number, or you click and you type in a name, I should say, there'll be a long list. Like I typed on this page, I just typed in the last name Wilson. So every name of the last name Wilson is going to come up. If they have a 0, they list their ages on here on this website, on Access Genealogy, on this Dawes Index. Their ages are calculated in 1900. For those that aren't familiar, the Dawes Commission took testimony between 1900 and 1902. I believe it's March of 1900 to September of 1902. And so this site calculates ages from 1900. Now, if they don't have an age, and you see on the far right-hand column it says type, P means parent. So that means that the name on that name that's associated with that type P, that's the name of an adult or a child's parent on the initial card or census card. If the female has married 2 or 3 times, she has children with 3 different spouses, then the father of each of those sets of children will be listed as a parent on the main card of the female. This is what it looks like today when you pop it up. As you can see, I had done this presentation a few, not years back, but not for a while back, and I had the old version, but this is the new version. Same information, just prettier, and it's more green, and what you can see. But I like it better. I mean, it's prettier, I should say that. But that's the same name as Wilson. And I say it's the newly vamped. Now, when you click on the card column, this will take you to the application. And this will list everyone that's on the application, as you can see up here on the screen. I just picked out young Pigeon Wilson family, or the parent of this Aquas Wilson. Young Pigeon Wilson, sorry. But anyway, I digress. This shows you everybody on the family. P means parent. One of those females that you see at the top of the list of names is the mother of those children. The other is the mother of young Pigeon, who's 40 years old, young Pigeon Wilson. And I already told you about if they have different last names, they'll have different father or parents listed for parents with the female. Miscellaneous is their postal address, where they got their mail. You know, today we have rural mail delivery. Of course, then they didn't. You had to go to town to get your mail at the post office. And so that was their closest post office, which is Southwest City, Missouri, actually, which is anyone's locally here knows is right in the corner of Southwest Missouri and Northeast Oklahoma. So if you live just over the border in northeastern Oklahoma, you go to Southwest City to get your mail. It didn't mean that they actually lived in Southwest City. This is what it looks like currently when you pull up Access and pull up the card, family on that card number. It's a little bit different, but again, still the same information. And it gives references to Fold 3, and there's sometimes footnotes. Like this one has a footnote for the Dodge packet, which will refer you to the Fold 3 site, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. I think it's just really great that the information is coming up online. And I'll say that again all throughout this presentation. So don't be scared of getting on the computer, of anybody. Now this is Fold 3. Originally it was called footnote.com. They changed the name to Fold 3. And a lot of people are like, Fold 3, how do you spell that? And what they're referring to is the American flag when a service person is killed in battle or dies in service, or any service person. The flag is folded and given to the family member at the funeral. And that's what the Fold 3 represents, the trifold of the American flag. This initially started out as a military website to digitize military records. It has branched off into many avenues: Revolutionary War pension applications, War of 1812 pension applications. They're currently digitizing Civil War widows pension applications, and include digitized mustered records for the second mounted Cherokee rifles from the Confederacy during the Civil War that Stan Wadey was the leader of. As well as Indian Home Guards. Muster records for those individuals have been digitized on this site. It's less expensive than Ancestry.com, but if you are an Ancestry.com member, you can get Fold 3 for half price, a year of it. I think last I saw it was $79.95 for a year, so if you have Ancestry, then you get half that. It's like $12 a month, $11.95 a month if you want to buy a month subscription of it. But again, Muskogee Public Library actually has free access to it if you have a Muskogee library card. And hopefully more libraries are going to start having access to it, I hope. But when you go to Fold 3, I take the long way around and I click on Browse and I go to the Native American collection. You can't see that screen because it's too small from where you're sitting, and from those that are online, it's probably hard to see too. But there's a column that's called Native American Records, Native American Collection, and then it goes in, breaks it up into the different collections they have, which include the Dawes packets. It includes the Dawes census cards, which is kind of like an index card to the Dawes testimony application, the Dawes packet. They've also digitized what's called the Guyan Miller applications. These were named for a man named Guyan Miller. He was the head of a commission. And what the Miller applications were, for those that aren't familiar, was they were for money from the old removal treaty of 1835, Treaty of New Echota. In the Treaty of New Echota, $5 million had been promised to be paid by the federal government for what was left of the ancestral homelands in the southeast. And the federal government paid that money out in 1851, but they did not pay all of it out. And so there's two factions of groups that went to the federal government, one in 1896, and then this group of those that descended from those that came on the Trail of Tears on the removal to get the rest of the money that was owed them. The federal government agreed, and through a court case, and there was $1 million that was to be paid out. The two best resources for Cherokee research and Cherokee ancestry are the Dawes Final Roll and the Miller Roll, the Guyan Miller Roll. Previous to the DAWs, there are population censuses. Within the Cherokee Nation itself, there are district court records. Oklahoma History Center in Oklahoma City have those. They've been digitized and put on DVD. We have a set at the Heritage Center. The originals, of course, are all housed with the National Archives. A lot of them are at the Fort Worth branch in Fort Worth, Texas, southwest region of the National Archives. And I'm probably going to miss something here. So you have this handout that's on the website that I showed you at the beginning of the presentation. So anybody can print that off and follow along if I talk too fast, because I talk too fast. But this is really great because you can actually see the testimonies. You can actually pull up the testimony images. Like I said, if I have time, I'm going to try to go to the actual site to show you what I'm talking about. This shows you the images from the application on the right-hand side. It's listed by their census card or number, that you find the census card number. They're in numerical order, and then you find the person listed with that number, and then you go to the actual application itself. Now, you can go into just the search engine for the DAWS packets and just type in the name or type in the card number, and it will come up. This is showing you kind of the long way to get to it, so I can show you each little avenue there is on this site. They're always improving it every day. They're always adding things to it every day. Same thing with Ancestry.com, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But the Miller application, when they applied for that, they had to indicate who had been paid the first time in 1851. So they had to document back at least, in most cases, 3 generations on the application. Previous to 1900 and the Dawes and the Miller, they had never been asked parentage, names of their brothers and sisters on any type of application or any type of roll. Most everything that was done by the federal government was called a roll. We get people that come in and they have found somebody on what's called the immigration roll, which has something to do with the 1817, 1819 treaties between the group of Cherokee and the federal government. I had a gentleman that called me today that has his ancestors on there, but I explained to him that of the 3 federally recognized groups, those rolls are not recognized, but they are good sources for information. And Jerry Clark, who is formerly with the United States Archives, he descends from the Gormley family, and the Bigby's and the Taylors. He's working with us out at the Heritage Center, and he's working on detachment records right now, taking where they got rations and trying to piece together everyone that was on the 13 detachments of the removal. And it's kind of a slow process, but he's been working on it diligently as a volunteer out at the Heritage Center. And it's really great to have him. His mind is like an encyclopedia of Cherokee history and names. Now, this is Ancestry.com, which most people know about. Who Do You Think You Are? That TV series utilizes Ancestry.com, of course, and of course it's based out of Provo, Utah. Most of the genealogy websites you're going to find online have some basis in Utah in one way, shape, form, or another. There's a conglomerate called myfamily.com, I believe, that is the parent to most of these websites. And Familysearch.org, which is the main LDS or Mormon website, is a free site. Ancestry.com, of course, is a subscription site. You have to pay to be able to access most of the records on this. What's really cool about Ancestry.com is they've digitized one of the other good records, well, not good records, but records that there were very few Cherokee families that applied for, but mostly non-Cherokee families that applied for, were the 1896, what I refer to as Dawes rejected applications. And I kind of digress a little bit. The Dawes Commission was formed in 1893, and so the Dawes Commission came into the Cherokee Nation and into eastern Oklahoma, what is today eastern Oklahoma, to do what you have heard and referred to as the allotment process. And they're very adamant about getting that done. And so word went out across the country in newspapers that if you had the specific surname, and a lot of it was names you hear everywhere, Smith and Jones and Johnson, and you have a Cherokee tie, come visit, get an attorney, come to visit the Dawes Commission in Indian Territory, and we'll try to get you your allotment of land. So what happened with these 1896 applications, they got bombarded by a lot of folks that could not document that they were Cherokee through the various records the federal government had made for the Cherokee that they were basing the 1896 on. So the 1898 Curtis Act, which passed, was to call for the enforcement of the allotment, and this time they were going to use Cherokee Nation documents, 1880 and 1896 census, the population census that was taken by the Cherokee Nation of their own population, of their own population. Ancestry.com has access to U.S. Indian censuses, as does Fold 3, for other tribes, not just the Cherokee. And like I said, some portions of Ancestry are free, but not very many. Most of them you have to pay the subscription to get on Ancestry. I don't know if anybody here has an Ancestry.com subscription, but it has a lot of information on there. It is kind of a little bit expensive, though. And Ancestry.com, if someone's listening from there, I hope you're not going to hurt me or anything because I said that. But when it breaks it down and it'll talk about different records, birth and death records, there's a lot of things like Texas death certificates are digitized there and on Fold 3. On Ancestry, there's Kentucky, North Carolina birth and death records. In case you have family that still lived around the Cherokee or still living around the Cherokee, North Carolina area, they may have death certificates on Ancestry.com that you can look up. They have birth records for North Carolina on Ancestry.com. And they're starting to digitize these as well on Familysearch.org. It's just a slow process on the LDS website. What is neat about this is that they digitized those 1896 applications I told you about. Now, there were a few Cherokee by blood families that did apply in 1896, but not very many. Predominantly, they were non-Cherokee families that were applying in 1896. But a lot of my audience, when I go out to other presentations, are a lot of people that I visit with on a daily basis, is that somewhere down the line their ancestor did not want to be Cherokee according to their family history, and so it's more difficult to determine that ancestry because of that fact. And when you get on to Ancestry, of course, you can narrow your searches down to look for information because they have Cherokee County, Oklahoma censuses. They have all the way up to the 1940 census that's been digitized. They also have that same information on Familysearch.org, which is the free site from the LDS Church. Now, Familysearch.org, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, is you do get a username and password. They do not charge you. But with the username and password, you have access to their digitized images on Familysearch.org. And I don't want to go through this too fast, but really, if we have time, I want to go to a couple of the websites and show you what you can look at. I wish I had computers in here for everybody to go with me at the same time, and it would be really great. RootsWeb is a free site. Initially, it started out similar to Ancestry.com, but then Ancestry.com bought it. It was a volunteer-based website, and they still have information on this website, family trees. But mostly now there's just indexes to records on this website. They do have an index where you can search the DAWs on this site also, as AccessGenealogy.com does. This shows you a list of different indexes that are available on RootsWeb. I'll read them for you if you can't see them. There's California Death Index, Texas Death Index, which you can look at the index for free on here, but then like with North Carolina and Kentucky, the actual certificates are available on Ancestry.com for the subscription rate. This is still RootsWeb, and it breaks it down to different categories, what records they have, what databases they have for Native American records on RootsWeb. I don't know if anybody here has used RootsWeb, or anybody online has used RootsWeb, but I used to use this all the time. Of course, at the Heritage Center, we have a subscription to Ancestry.com for our library, for our clientele, for our visitors that come in, and for you that come in, anyone that comes in, I should say, to the Heritage Center. You have access to these websites that there are subscriptions to. And your local public library may have a library edition to these sites. The library, when you're doing genealogy research, because I kind of touch a little bit on basic doing genealogy research, your library is your best friend. Historical societies, state archives, they have excellent resources. I'm going to talk about the Oklahoma History Center in Oklahoma City, which is the state archives. They have excellent information and excellent records for you to access there. And of course, like I said, we do have what we have at the Heritage Center in our little library up in the north end of the building. This kind of breaks it down some more. I keep following RootsWeb, where you can type in for whoever's on you can pick the tribe. You can pick what type of records you want to look at and type in the first and last name. This, again, is a free site, RootsWeb is. And this is what I showed you earlier from Access, which is kind of similar. This is what is on RootsWeb, which, practically almost is. When we get folks that come into the Heritage Center, a lot of them think that there's more than one DAWS roll. They don't realize there's just one Dawes roll, there's just many versions of it being indexed, either in book form or online. And when I give a Dawes presentation, I talk about how people call it the honor scroll, the Dawes roll, DOSC roll. It's called many names because a lot of people don't realize what it's about, what it's for, about the allotment process, or that the Cherokee Nation uses it as a base roll for citizenship today, as do the other 4 tribes in eastern Oklahoma. This kind of breaks it down, like it shows you who's on that card, like I showed you young Pigeon Wilson. So it just gives you another avenue to look up the same information, but from a different angle, so to speak. And this takes you to less sites where you have to, accidentally go to Ancestry if you don't want to pay for the subscription. This is a site that broke off of RootsWeb, where they are transcribing like county records for the states. This is volunteer-based. They do have Oklahoma. They have like Chickasaw Nation marriages. They have Northern District marriages on here. The Cherokee Nation was in the Northern District of the Federal District. It was based out of Muskogee, which we know where the federal courthouse is today, as it was then. This is Oklahoma GenWeb. This is the Oklahoma State chapter of that usgenweb.org, where it's broke down into Oklahoma counties. And like Adair County, there's like cemetery records for Sequoia County on there. There's cemetery records for Adair County. There's newspaper clips from Adair County, from the Stillwell Democrat Journal, under Adair County on this site, and under something called Oak Bits, OKBITS, Oak Bits. You can look up obituary information there for Oklahoma and for this eastern half. They also have access to what are called the Indian Pioneer Papers. There was a WPA project back in the 1930s where they would go and they would interview elders within the Cherokee communities about their memories of growing up, about stories that they heard while they were growing up, about Ned Christie the Outlaw or Zeke Proctor, what's called the Going Stake Massacre, where it's the Zeke Proctor trial, remembering childhood memories, food, things that their mother cooked. I mean, they're really cool interviews if no one's ever seen these. Has anybody ever seen here? I'll ask the audience, I can't see online, but has anybody looked at the Indian Pioneer Papers to see maybe someone in your family had an interview? Oh, well, I highly recommend if you get a chance to look that up. This is off Oklahoma GenWeb. There's also access to it on the Oklahoma History Center website. And it's called the Doris Duke Collection at OU, where the Indian Pioneer Papers actually are at. This breaks it down into the last names of the individuals that were interviewed, A to Z. When you get onto this site at Oklahoma GenWeb, under usgenweb.org. Now this is what I talked about. Now this is the Oklahoma University of Oklahoma website, which has access to the Doris Duke collection. I'm sorry that merged onto there. I shouldn't have done that. But you can go on there and you can look up the Pioneer Papers there on the OU website, their digital portion of their site. It's called the Western History Collection, or specifically the Doris Duke Collection in that facility. Again, it's broken down by the interviews by name. I have an example, and then it talks about the individual that was interviewed, who interviewed them, where they were from, the date of the interview, and then you click another time, and this will take you to the digitized image of the actual interview. Well, this is Fred Pallone, who's being interviewed at this point. And he tells his date of birth. He was born in the Going Stake District in the Cherokee Nation, August 23rd, 1875. He's the son of Adam Pallone, and Mary Susan Paris, both Cherokees of the Cherokee Nation, and to this union where there were 8 children born. So they're really cool if you find a family member that has a Indian Pioneer Paper interview. Now, this is that site I was mentioning about, the LDS site called Familysearch.org. The page has changed since I've done these images, but that's still the same web address for it. Like again, you register with a username and password to access their digitized images. They're in the process of digitizing 3.5 billion microfilm images, and they're going to put it all on this website, and they have sworn to me every time I've asked them that it will continue to be free. They will not charge you to look at this information. And if I have a chance, I'll go to the site because I have a username and password to get on there. It's my own. I use LJ Tibbs, which is NCIS. You don't know if you don't watch NCIS, but anyway. But this kind of breaks it down. What they have on the Familysearch.org website. They have a newer search engine now, but this is just to give you an idea of what websites are out there for you to research and look at. I mean, you could be on the computer all night long looking at this information. I know I do. If you can't tell from looking at me, I think I'm going on 5 hours of sleep. No, I'm kidding. But this is the Oklahoma History Center website, okhistory.org, under the Research Center. Now, this is just a screenshot, so it doesn't show the entire screen, just a portion of it. They have, I think it says 2.8 million American Indian records, and a lot of those are, many of that is Cherokee records. They're within their collection at Oklahoma City, which is the Oklahoma State Archives, basically, called the Oklahoma History Center. Has anybody been to the Oklahoma History Center here in the room? Oh, I highly recommend you go. It's a great museum. Wiley posts airplanes hanging up in it if you get down to the city. They have an excellent research center there in the museum. It's a really great museum. It'll take you 2 days to go through the whole thing.
Whereabouts is the museum at?
I give you the address. It's Nazir. Oh, I'm going to butcher it. It's right off the Capitol Rotund, where you go around the Capitol building, Northwest 23rd exit you take off to the right from the side of the Capitol building, and it's the next left, and it's Nazir Adim Boulevard. So it's on the handout that's on the CCO website that I showed the first screen. There's a handout there that has the address for it there. And I'm not sure who that gentleman is, but he was somebody that they named that street after. But they have like oil derricks out there, and it's really cool. You can see Wiley's Post airplane hanging from, and at night it's lit up in a big window right off, going around the Capitol building there in Oklahoma City. And again, we have DVD images of a lot with the Cherokee Nation court records. Tom Mooney, our archivist, has them downstairs in the archives at the Heritage Center at Park Hill. So we highly recommend, if you want to look at those and you want to stay close by, just go to the bookstore and let them know, what you're wanting to do, and then they can get a hold of Tom and go and make sure that he's there and go from there for you to look at that information. I have a set up in genealogy at the Heritage Center, but up in the museum and the library where we're at, but I don't have a DVD player on our computer. We're supposed to be getting new computers, keeping our fingers crossed, and they'll have a DVD player on them that we can look at those records up there. Jerry Clark has indexed a lot of records, and he's graciously donated them to the library, and we've put them up on we have 3 computer stations at the library in the museum that you have access to, and these databases that Jerry Clark has put together on their most predominantly removal records, era records, which is really excellent sources for information. If you want to try to find out possibly what of the detachments, like I said, he's putting together a lot of detachment lists, so you might find the detachment through the ration lists, who your ancestors, what detachment they came on. They have what's called the Indian Archives and the Oklahoma History Center's Research Center site, and this is just a breakdown of the different pages. It's too small for you to see, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I just wanted you to know what sites, again, what are available out there to research. There's many indexes, including Cherokee, like I said, other tribal records, not just for the Cherokee, but other tribes, Kiowa, Comanche, mainly the Oklahoma tribes. And I mumble a lot, so please forgive me for that, too. Oklahoma Historical Society, now this is where you can go to what's called the core collection under the archives catalog. They have digitized and PDF'd all the allotment maps. You have to know the township and range of your ancestors' allotment for you to be able to actually go to the right map to look for where their allotment was located on the maps. I don't think I have an example of an allotment map on here on this presentation. But it's kind of hard. It was hard to get to. I don't know if it's gotten any better. The last time I went to was not very long, a few months ago. It was still kind of hard to get to the core collections. But they may have a better way to get to it now. Of course, I'm the type of person that takes the long way around. So Go figure. This is under the core collections, Indian Archives collection, where the maps will be located. And you probably can't see it from there, but it's about halfway down. It says Indian Archives collection. Allow 2 to 3 minutes for it to come up because they're high resolution images. So it takes a while for them to pull up. But then it'll list what records that they have at the Oklahoma History Center that have been microfilmed and now on DVD that you have access to. And like I said, at the archives, in the museum, in the basement of the museum. Many people don't know that we have a basement, but we do have. That's where most of the offices are at the Heritage Center or downstairs in the basement. This shows you the PDF files for each of the different maps for each of the township and ranges of where the allotments were located. When you click on that PDF file, it takes a little while for it to pop up, but it's a nice resolution map of the allotments. If you know the township and range. And a lot of people, there's not a lot of people, but there are some Cherokee families today that still live on part of the family's original allotment. I know especially in Adair County, there are several families that do. And in Delaware County, I know. So there are families that still live on part of the family's original allotments. But it's kind of cool to see the old maps. I like old maps, so. Now this I don't use as much, and no offense to Jerry Clark if he's watching this, but this is the National Archives website, and I'm sure he wouldn't take offense. He probably agrees. I'm sure Jerry probably agrees with me. It's hard to search, in my opinion, for information, but it does have information. I'm not going to throw it out completely. It does have access to information. They were trying to digitize some of the Dawes cards and things, but I don't know if they finished that up because Fold 3 works with the National Archives and their microfilms process. Fold 3 does for those digitized images that I showed kind of little snippets of a minute earlier. This is another part of the National Archives website where it lists on the left categories. It has a Native American category where you can go to where the Native American records are at. And then when you click on the Native American records, it'll take you to the various type of records. As you can see, there's the Dawes rolls up there. And like I said, they were trying to digitize those. But I don't know if they're continuing to do that. They also have an index to the 1896 applications I talked about. I don't know if you can read it, but about halfway down where it says Dawes roll, it says 1896 citizenship applications, 9,618. Those aren't all Cherokee. That's for all 5 tribes. And if you notice, whenever I talk about the 5 tribes, I refer to them as the 5 tribes. And I've gotten better in the habit of doing that and not referring to them as the 5 civilized tribes, because that's the term that the federal government gave the 5 tribes. And in my opinion, all American Indian tribes are civilized in their own way. And so not to just to narrow down those 5, because those 5, Cherokee Nation is a constitutional government, 1827, so I just say the 5 tribes. But that's me. This is a site that has access to cemeteries in the Cherokee Nation that volunteers, a volunteer-based site. And you can find photographs of graves if there are gravestones at the cemetery. This is a free site. Like right now, it's been a while since, that was 97 million. Right now they've got 112 million grave records. If you have family that migrate out to California and are buried out in California, they may be listed on here under Find a Grave. And there may be a photograph of their stone. Someone might have submitted an obituary, a photograph of the person. I don't know anybody here that's in the room, if anybody here has used Find a Grave or those that are online watching, I highly recommend going there because there's cemeteries that I'll never be able to go to that somebody there has gone to and taken pictures of the stones if they have one. And this kind of breaks it down to the search engine that you can use at Find a Grave. And I'm thinking I'm going to have a few minutes, if at all possible, so I can take you to some of these sites. Because that's what I find more exciting, is actually go to the site and look for the information. This is just an example. There's a picture of the headstone at the cemetery that someone took for this individual in Odessa, Texas. I can't even remember the last time I was in Odessa, Texas. I had been there, but it's been a while. But you can sometimes, and you can save these pictures to your computer. If there's somebody that has a picture of a stone that you have never seen before, you can save it, right-click on it and save it to your computer. And sometimes there's a big image of it you can save. Now, this is at the end of the presentation. This is a list of the different websites that I utilized in this presentation that you can see up on the screen. And again, these are on that website, the Cherokee.org/CCO, which I'm going to pull up here on the screen right now. Hey. And this presentation, as well as a couple other handouts, are also on the site. And there's also, like, again, the assessment. So those of you that are watching online and those that are in the audience, to fill out that assessment that's on the site there. I'm trying to see how much time I've got. I've got 15 more minutes. A lot of people may have questions of me, but I would like to, if I can, pull up some of these sites, actually go to the site. I had already pulled up Access Genealogy. Like I said, I just showed the screenshot, and so those that are online, those of you that are here in the audience, you can see by scrolling down, you can see where there's like Indian biographies. Like I said, they pulled snippets of the Emmett Starr's History of the Cherokee Indians, and I'll try to do this real quick. If you click on Indian biographies and you scroll down, again, when you get on this site, don't go, or you'll be going to Fold 3, that subscription site. Come on down here, and I picked C, and I'll show you why here in a minute, because, and they'll take you to the surnames of individual American Indian biographies, Captain Jack, you see Captain Jack. My key interest here is, if I get down here, is Dr. Isabel Cobb. She was a graduate of the female seminary, and she was a female doctor, which she was born in 1858, so she's like Dr. Quinn, medicine woman. Except she's Cherokee. She's a Cherokee citizen. But this is from Emmett Starr's History of the Cherokee Indians, where he has biographies at the back of the book. And throughout the book, there are biographies. There's a picture of her with her family in that book. Emmett Starr's History of the Cherokee Indians is kind of like I don't know how to put it, is like the epitome of people to go to for family history, because there are family histories in it. Some of them are hard to follow, but they still are good information. It's been digitized on Google Books, The History of the Cherokee Indians by Emmett Starr, and most libraries, and we have it at the Heritage Center. We have 2 or 3 copies of it, which is really cool. If anybody has ever seen Dr. Starr's book, and you think you might have an answer with a biography in it, it'd be really cool to look at. But this talks about Dr. Cobb. It shows you who our ancestors were, the Klingons, and not Klingons. No, that's not Star Trek, but the Klingons. And gives family information here, and tells where she graduated from the female seminary in 1879, and then she went on to college in Glendale, Ohio, and the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania. So I thought that was really cool, because that shows you the predominance of the matrilineal reflection in Cherokee culture and history. Another one of my favorite people is Eliza Missouri Bushyhead Alberti, West Alberti. She managed the Capitol Hotel, which is over by the Capitol building on the Capitol Square here in town. She was a businesswoman. She was Reverend Jesse Bushyhead's daughter. Middle name Missouri because she was born at Cape Girardeau on the way on the removal, because her father was a leader of one of the detachments. Reverend Bushyhead was a leader of one of the detachments. But anyway, I digress. But that just shows you, like, that's what's on the site. And then, of course, like I showed you the Dawes roll on that screen. And if I had time, I'd show everybody's, somebody tell me their ancestor, and I'd look it up real fast. But when I send people to this site, they want to automatically, this will take you to Fold 3. When you come down further off the screen, you'll see a search engine. This is the free search engine.
We don't have to end right at 7, so if there's somebody who might have
Okay. Yeah, does anybody know their original enrollee? That's a question I point to. Every time I go speak to a group, that's a question I ask. I know there's Cherokee citizens in the group. Who's your original enrollee? Anybody knows?
Robin Stan.
Oh, yeah, Robin Stan. I know that name. I'm trying to remember. I should have known that off the top of my head. Some people's ancestors I know. Yeah, that's a challenge I give to a lot of the groups that I go speak to if they know who their original enrollee is. Depending on who got your card or when you got your card or cards, like the younger generations, grandma got it, or so they just know we have one, but we're not sure who our ancestor is. But this is Robin Stand. He's 36 years old in 1900. His blood degree is 3/4, and then if you click on his card number, that's his roll number, and his type is by blood. And we click on his card number. And then when you scroll down on this page, it'll take you to Robin Stand's application and who also applied with him or who he applied for. He's applying for himself, his wife, and his children, as you can see. And then you have parent type here and then by blood type here. Well, I tell folks and those that are online, when you go to this search engine and you're going and looking for names, you want to look for someone that has an age and a roll number and a blood degree. If they have an F by their name, that means they're a former slave. They're considered a freedman and not a Cherokee by blood, so they will not have a blood degree. Or if there is a D and an R associated with these numbers, that means it's rejected or denied, and it says NR under roll number, it means no roll number because they were denied or rejected or doubtful. Of course, here you see the names of their children, Taylor and Sally and Richard, Peggy. Lucy's the mother. Then you can kind of go by up here who the parents of the adults are. Now, you're going to have to help me. Ryder and Charlotte Hogner would be Lucy's parents, wouldn't they? That's Lucy's parents, isn't it? So Peggy Dick would be Robin's mom. And you can tell by, female, male. But anyway, that shows you what you can pull up on that. Now, I'll pull up... And this is the fun part. If you get fold 3, or come look at it at the Heritage Center. Come look at the Heritage Center. I would be remiss if I didn't plug the Heritage Center every chance I get. Let's see. Sign in. Now I won't tell you. I could tell you my password, but it's a secret. Yeah. Okay. Oh, don't like me. I didn't type it in right. Where'd you go? Oh yeah, I'm not. Never mind. We're there. They tried to fool me. I'll go to the home screen and see. Scroll down. Cool. Okay, where's American Indian? No. Mexican Indian. No, it's the war. These are wars. I don't want wars. Search by war, see all. Bear with me here. It says done. Sometimes when they change the widgets or midgets or whatever they're called on here, it throws everything off. Let's see. What's going on? Sorry about this. Apparently I'm having issues or something not working on the computer screen. It's not pulling up. And I don't know why. It's missing a widget or a Java update. Because it should be pulling up images. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, if I could get this to work, it would pull up sites and you could look at the digitized images of that information. I don't know. And Familysearch changed their widgets too on my computer at work. And I'm not too computer savvy when it comes to widgets and Java and all that. See right here, it says, this is what pops up on my computer at work. This site does not support the current version of your web browser. You want to sign in. Well, I wanted really bad to show you these sites, and now it's not cooperating. Search. Well, it's not helping me at all, is it? Try this again. I have to have get IT to update this, or IS. Oh well, fine then. We'll do this hard way. Sorry. Hey, stop. Here I thought I was going to be doing a really good thing, and it's like totally throwing me off. Okay, this is what they have for, they have access to the DAWs, and this, like I said, is free site. There's Oklahoma probate records, and they cover the counties in the Cherokee Nation. They cover Oklahoma County marriages. If any of your ancestors got a marriage license within like Adair County or somewhere, it'll be in here. And hopefully it'll pop up if I type it in this way. Now, not everybody's Cherokee ancestor got a marriage license, but some Cherokee ancestors got marriage licenses. And it's not wanting to show me. Okay. Well, anyway, this shows you what's on this on the Familysearch.org. Because I didn't show you this on the slides. And those that are still online can see this screen. It shows you what's available on here. Some of these, like this, there's applications for allotment. This isn't the DAWS packets. This shows like some of the land allotments, and allotment maps are under that. There's several thousand images. This is the DAWS roll here, because I recognize those years. That's the Curtis Act when it was passed, and that's the last. Some families were missed, individuals, and so they went to court and had them added on to their main application until 1914. Let's see if this will break it down. There's like 1 million images just in this one collection. 1.5 million. And so you got Cherokees by blood, Cherokee Freeman, and there's the other tribes, the other 5 tribes. Maybe I can get to it this way. Like I said, I'm taking the long way around, so please forgive me. And I'll say that a lot. Please forgive me. And maybe it'll cooperate, maybe it won't. While that's trying to make up its mind, surely Ancestry.com will work. Outdated browser. Where are you guys? That's our username, but you won't be able to see our password. Dang. I got asterisks. Okay, let's do Robin Stan. Well, somebody else. Somebody else. I'll look up somebody. Joe Groundhog? Now, where did he go? It just showed it, didn't it? Try it again. I totally apologize for this. Apparently, we need to upgrade our browsers. No. That's not right. This is the new search engine. They took the old search engine off of Ancestry, which I don't like. But that's what, so you gotta kind of get used to that. All right. Now this will take it, see, he has a stone. But you probably already know that, huh? Briggs, 1882, 1951. Is that him? Is that him? He's buried at Briggs, probably Cedar Tree or somewhere.
Yeah, there we go.
He's probably buried at Cedar Tree, I bet. That's like one of the main cemeteries of Briggs. Yep, Cedar Tree Cemetery. Melinda Gertrude Groundhog Keys.
Yeah.
And so,
I found one, you know, you mentioned the abbreviations,
Uh-huh.
start your presentation.
yeah.
On one of these sites that we found, he had a double B, and that one wasn't on the front page.
Oh, Bob Blood. Bob Blood.
Oh, okay.
Bob Blood. Cherokee Bob Blood. Well, it means Bob, BB means Bob Blood. That's kind of a reference they make to on the Access Genealogy site I showed you under type. That's fine and gray. Let's see. Back to where there was. This is his World War I draft registration. You've probably already seen that too. Where they were to register for the draft. They didn't get drafted, but they registered for the draft. Which is, sometimes you can read these, sometimes you can't, depending on how hard it is to read them, if it'll come up. It says done with a little asterisk, so something's not wanting to cooperate. But you can see what pops up on here. This was referencing to the Dawes cards. Same thing up here, that's Dawes it's referencing to. And then, of course, you know, the federal census is what it's referring to. And then this is where someone has done research. Who's Joe L. Groundhog, married Nancy Grits, according to this person. When you're looking on these family trees, always make sure that there's sources. This is unsourced, so I don't like when it's not sourced. So try to find sources. And like I said, I still haven't gotten used to this new search engine for Ancestry.com. What I wanted to do was, if it'll let me, I was going to show you those, you know, I don't know if anyone has one of those 1896 applications, but it should be on here. Where is it at? Yeah, this is actually free on here. Like I said, there's just some things that are free. So this is on there where you can search that, if it will cooperate with you. Hopefully your computer has a better index or deal than this does. But you can see what they have for Oklahoma. A lot of it is Native American, a lot of it's Native American, of course. There's the Osage Tribal Roll of 1921, which I think is their base roll for the Osage. But there's a lot of information on here too. And again, this is the subscription site, which, like I said, at the Heritage Center we have a subscription to it. And like I said, we're non-for-profit. During the week and other than Cherokee Saturday, there is a museum fee to get into the library. But you know, you have to go on the tour of the new village. You have to go see the exhibits and the art show. So there's a lot of good things you can do with that. And we have a membership, an annual membership, where you get in free all year round, not just on Cherokee Saturday. And you can become a member of the Historical Society. You get 10%. You get a discount on stuff in the bookstore, in the museum store. So if you're making baskets or making pottery, we have clay and reed that we sell in the bookstore. You get your discount on that. You get a discount on us doing research for you. It's half price. We do charge $30 an hour to do research for people. But basically, we use the $30 for the basic search, and then if it's going to be more, you're contacted to see if it's going to cost more. It's $20 an hour for members of the Historical Society, $30 for non-members of our Historical Society. And there are brochures up on the table. And you can go to our website at CherokeeHeritage.org and learn more about membership and our events and the Trail of Tears art show, which is up on our website, about the conference. The Genealogy Conference flyers are available on our website under Genealogy tab. First Families applications are available. There's also something that was started called the C.O. Lewis Sept Association, which recognizes the descendants of Ludovic Grant. For anybody who knows the history of their ancestors, Ludovic Grant was a Scotch Irishman, and he came and married a Cherokee woman, and he has many descendants in the Cherokee Nation today. He had three granddaughters, and they married into Cherokee families, and they just got really prolific. And so that is just like First Families membership. It's a membership fee for you to join. And there's an application you fill out, which is on our website also. I'm putting a plug for, I don't know where Tammy's at. I'm putting a plug in for the Heritage Center, so. I can't, because I love the Heritage Center. I've been there going on 11 years. Oh, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning. The mission of our historical society is to preserve, promote, and teach Cherokee history and culture. And that's what I do when I go out to give these presentations to groups. Because we get people that call us. I don't know if I'm probably still, I may not still be online. They probably shut me. Are we still online? Anybody online, holler? I ain't. Huh? Yes. Oh, cool. I'll digress from what I was going to say. But we get a lot of folks that come in and are looking for information, and so I highly recommend you come out to the Heritage Center if you haven't been there, because it's just right down there. You can't miss it. So please come visit. Please join our historical society. What else can I say? But like I said, I love working there. It's a really great place to be. So anyway, does anybody have any questions of me that's in the audience? I will be quiet because the websites are not cooperating with me. Because I need to download Chrome browser or something.
What can you do for 5th grade? If it is not correct.
Ben Chestnut, who's the associate genealogist with me at the Heritage Center, he finds that a lot. People will find a grave. They're not even actually buried in the cemetery, but they'll put a memorial up for them. And he's found their records where they are incorrect. There's a place where you can go in there and you can make whoever submitted it, you can ask to have them change it. You have to email them. You have to email the person, like if you go, who is it? Is it Rob and Stan?
No, that whole cemetery is not, I was through that. We don't have very many from
Which cemetery is it?
the Catcher Cemetery.
Oh, the Catcher Cemetery? There's catchers buried there too, in there.
And I wondered if they got mixed up.
That's possible. Because in that cemetery, there's catchers. Tikaniski is way back is the ancestor for most of the catchers, and in that same cemetery, there's catchers and catchers, but they're all related. They're just all in the.
They're both spelled the same. One's at Christie, and the other's.
Oh, where'd it go? This mouse is super sensitive. Stop. Who are we looking at? The ones that are wrong? Huh?
Robinson would be the catchers I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah? So I just looked up catcher. I didn't look up, say catcher. I was going to show you where you can go in and have somebody, whoever submitted it, can get them to fix it. Where is he? See, they have not even Robin on here, do they? Unless it's STANN, is it?
Some of them spell it that way, but it's STAND.
Yeah, that guy listed as STANN, whoever did this listing. Like you said, it's incorrect.
But there, I don't know if you knew him, his name was Leonard Thompson.
Yeah.
He's part of that rural family cemetery there. And he
Would
did
you
a
stop?
new outlay of the whole cemetery.
Yeah. Well, see, this person is Patricia. It was created by Patricia Meckling. I don't know who that is. But what you have to do to get someone to fix this is you have to get a hold of that person. And you have to, email her and tell her that's not right. You need to fix that. And hopefully they will get back to you. That's the only other way I know how to get a hold of somebody that puts misinformation on Find a Grave, is to find the person that did it and try to get them to change it. Because on Ancestry, you can make a notation under a census misinterpretation. You can make in parentheses, you can add a note. This doesn't let you add a note to it if it's incorrect. You have to email the person that submitted the information. So my family's on here too, or my family, my dad's family, and I don't even know who that person is. No, I'm trying to email her. Yes. But anyway, that's how you get somebody to change Find a Grave. So some of it is incorrect. But you can also go in and, add pictures to it, but it won't let you go in and fix it. what you can do is right here, there's a place for you to log in. You can join Find a Grave, which I did. I have a membership to Find a Grave where I can go in and add pictures and stuff. So you can do that too. But it doesn't let me go in there and fix it though. If the first person that submitted it did it. You have to email them and hope that they'll change it. Wish for the best. Because like this lady, she manages 13,000 memorials. She has 21 memorials a week she adds. She's got 13 photos requests for people that want her to take a picture of the grave. So when you get into doing the Find a Grave and you want to work on it and volunteer for it, that's what you get, all these kinds of things. But then you got to make sure you put it in there right to begin with. So anybody else? Okay. Well, I guess I will finish and appreciate you all being here, and those that are online, that you're still online listening to me. I appreciate you being online. And I hope that you go to the sites. And again, go to that my PowerPoint for the backup here. Remember to go to this, to go to do the assessment, and to get this PowerPoint presentation as well as a couple other presentations that are on the same website. You'll see it down towards the bottom of the page. So thank you very much, and thanks for listening. And don't forget the brochures up at the table. Here you go. Thank you.